The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the Mercedes dealership, casting long shadows across the polished showroom floor. Outside, the city was just beginning to wake up. Inside, everything gleamed, chrome, leather, and the promise of luxury. Robert stood near the entrance, clutching a worn leather bag against his chest. His gray coat had seen better days. The fabric was threadbare at the elbows, and one of the buttons hung by a single thread. His shoes, once fine Oxford leather, were scuffed and cracked from years of wear. A flat cap sat slightly crooked on his head, covering hair that had gone white with age. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The warmth of the dealership wrapped around him like an embrace. For a moment, Robert just stood there, letting his eyes adjust to the brightness. Row after row of magnificent vehicles stretched before him, each one more beautiful than the last. The smell of new leather and possibility filled the air. Near the back of the showroom, 3 saleswomen stood together, chatting quietly. Jessica, tall and elegant in her tailored gray suit, noticed Robert first. She nudged her colleague, Melissa, who wore a crisp blue blazer. Sarah, the newest member of the team in her soft beige jacket, followed their gaze. "Look at that," Jessica whispered, barely concealing a smirk. "What do you think he wants? Directions to the bus stop?" Melissa covered her mouth, stifling a laugh. "Maybe he's lost. Poor thing probably wandered in by mistake." Sarah said nothing, but she felt a knot forming in her stomach. Something about the way the women were talking made her uncomfortable. She watched as Robert moved slowly through the showroom, running his weathered hand gently along the hood of a silver sedan. There was something in his eyes, not confusion, but familiarity. Almost like recognition. Jessica sighed dramatically. "Well, I suppose someone should tell him this isn't a charity. I'll handle it." She walked toward Robert with quick, purposeful steps, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Melissa followed, and after a moment's hesitation, so did Sarah. "Excuse me, sir," Jessica said, her voice sweet but edged with impatience. "Can we help you with something? Are you looking for someone?" Robert turned slowly. His face was lined with age, weathered like old wood, but his eyes were bright and clear. "Yes," he said quietly, his voice rough but steady. "I'm looking to purchase some vehicles." The word purchase seemed to hang in the air for a moment. Melissa couldn't help herself. A small laugh escaped her lips. "Purchase? You mean to buy?" "Yes," Robert replied simply. "To buy." Jessica and Melissa exchanged glances. The older woman's smile was no longer sweet at all. "Sir, these are Mercedes vehicles. They're quite expensive. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a different dealership? There's a used car lot just down the street." "I know what they are," Robert interrupted gently. "I'd like to buy 5 of them." 5. The word fell like a stone into still water. Jessica's smile froze on her face. Melissa blinked, certain she had misheard. Only Sarah leaned forward slightly, paying closer attention now. 5, Jessica repeated slowly, as if explaining something to a child. "Sir, that would be well over $1 million. "I'm aware," Robert said. Do you have any idea how our financing works?" Melissa asked, her tone dripping with condescension. "The credit checks alone would—" "I won't need financing," Robert said. He set his leather bag down on the hood of the nearest car, a gesture that made Jessica wince, and slowly unzipped it. Inside, neatly bundled and organized, were stacks of documents. Robert pulled out a folder and opened it carefully. Bank statements, investment portfolios, property deeds, all bearing his name, Robert Marshall. Sarah stepped closer, her eyes scanning the papers. Her breath caught in her throat. These are real," she whispered. Robert nodded. "I'd like the S-Class in midnight blue. 2 E-Classes, 1 in silver, 1 in black, and 2 GLE SUVs in white. All with the premium packages, please." The showroom had gone completely silent. Jessica's face had drained of color. Melissa stood frozen, her mouth slightly open. Sarah felt her heart pounding in her chest, but for a different reason than her colleagues. She felt ashamed. Ashamed that she had stood by while they judged this man. Ashamed that she had almost believed their cruel assumptions. I apologize, Mr. Marshall," Jessica stammered, her professional composure crumbling. "I didn't mean to. We didn't realize—" "No," Robert said quietly, closing the folder. "You didn't realize. You saw an old man in worn clothes and decided you knew everything about him. You decided he didn't belong here." Melissa's eyes were beginning to water. "Sir, please let me help you with—" "No, thank you," Robert said, his voice still calm but firm. "I think I'd prefer to work with someone else." He turned to Sarah, who stood slightly apart from the other two women. "Would you be willing to help me, miss?" Sarah felt all eyes on her. She swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, sir. I'd be honored." As they walked together toward the office to begin the paperwork, Robert spoke quietly, just loud enough for Sarah to hear. "My wife and I," he said, "we spent 40 years building a business from nothing. We lived simply, saved carefully. She passed away 6 months ago." Sarah's heart ached at the sadness in his voice. "She always said that when we retired, we'd do something generous, something meaningful." He paused, touching the brim of his cap. "These cars aren't for me. They're for my grandchildren. All 5 of them. They're graduating from university this spring. Each one worked hard, stayed humble, never asked for anything." Sarah felt tears prickling at her eyes. "They deserve to start their lives with something good," Robert continued. "Something that shows them their hard work mattered, that their grandmother and I were proud of them." Behind them, Jessica and Melissa stood in the middle of the showroom, watching them go. The shame on their faces was unmistakable. They had learned a lesson today, one that would stay with them for a very long time. Sarah led Robert to her desk and pulled out a chair for him. As he settled into it with a grateful sigh, she sat down across from him. "Mr. Marshall," she said softly, "thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm sorry for your loss. Your wife sounds like she was a wonderful woman." Robert's eyes grew misty, but he smiled. "She was. She really was." As they began to work through the details, colors, features, delivery dates, the showroom slowly returned to its normal rhythm. But something had changed. Something important. Sarah had learned that kindness costs nothing, that assumptions can blind us to truth, that dignity has nothing to do with the clothes someone wears or the car they drive. And Robert, sitting in that chair with the morning light warming his shoulders, felt a deep sense of peace. Soon, 5 young people would receive an unexpected gift. They would remember their grandmother's love. They would drive those beautiful cars and know that their family believed in them. Outside, the city was fully awake now. Life moved forward. But in that quiet moment, in that gleaming showroom, something had shifted. A lesson had been learned. A connection had been made. And sometimes, that's all any of us really need.